One of the things that's exciting me about the possibility, the idea of making content based around doing things that are possibly illegal or frowned upon or reason to be ridiculed and for you to be judged and for your ego to be judged and another reason why you'd keep it a secret. It's part of the process of trying to find truths and being open and vulnerable and admitting this is what I do in my spare time. This is what I do in privacy. And I don't want what I do in privacy to be a big deal and for me to feel like I need to hide it. In the journey of self-discovery and truth, I want to expose all of myself, all of it. And if there are some aspects that society actually rejects for a valid reason and not a silly mandated law or not law, but whatever it is, I want to be free to do what I want to do. And as long as that's lawful, except the weed thing, that's just stupid. Come on, let's get past it already. Otherwise, that's going to force me to go to another country where I am permitted to do what I want to do. And one of the things I want to do is vape weed and discover this and come with these realizations and want to express them, and then it coming full circle to capturing these voice notes, to publishing content that people will actually respond to. Because if I put content out there, these voice notes, people will lose attention because it's not visual. So then how can I visualize it? Well, this is full circle. It's a part of me. I love doing this process. You can't see it, but I'm working with the bud. I'm hand picking it. I'm enjoying the process of having these little nuggets, and then the airflow goes through. I'm getting all fascinated and geeking out about the tech, the process, everything, the journey with getting high and learning about aspects and diving in within myself and coming up with all of these concepts and beliefs that I want to try and live. I want to basically, it would be great if I was to somehow live off of doing the things I love. Wouldn't that be grand? And then the ego and the mind says, well, the world that we've set up doesn't allow for that. That can't happen. You're a dreamer. And then so the pessimism will start wearing you down, and you come from an optimistic mindset and questioning, and you're going, well, why not? Like, I want to do that. That's all I've ever wanted to do. Some people never grow into adulthood. They're always a child in this regard, because society says they need to believe and act and whatever, follow a certain kind of course in life in order to be successful and be able to continue.
Ready for lunch?
Yeah, just in a second. Sorry, I'm new to recording in the company of others. It's part of the process. Anyway, what I'm getting to, 3 minutes in, is I would love to prove that I can do what I want to do, because I am tackling this concept of ego. I am on the journey of trying to be the most authentic and truthful version of myself whilst seeking further truths and realizations. And I want to do what I want to do. I don't want to feel judged or ashamed by it. I believe it's healthy, and I believe it's not harmful, and I believe that with enough moderation and self-discipline and self-awareness, that you can use substances like weed and get high and talk about getting high in moderated control amounts in order to actually talk about some bigger picture shit that might seem too spectacular and too magical and too airy-fairy and too whatever, too much bullshit. People will automatically resort to our whole experience as adults as these forms of ego that's just walking around with power in mind and driven by other compulsions and judgment. Just this whole way of living, it's all so ego and mind predominant. And then when you understand these concepts and you step out and you go, oh, what are the other aspects of us? And you realize you can connect with your body through high, and you can connect to spirit, and you can be aware of chaos, and you can use the empowerment of will to just decide on something and then tip the scales from one side to the other. All of these ramblings, they all seem so like ramblings, like illogical, but they're not. There is a cohesive way of me delivering these words that's kind of cryptic to you because you haven't followed along the story. And the story can be called resource. And I get it throughout. I get the information through attuning to high, and being aware of this concept that I've made up, let's say. All of these aspects and concepts, they're just storytelling. I'm just on a journey by myself. But if I can prove that me capturing the visuals that's captivating enough to get your attention, and also it just allows you to listen to me and not tune out, and then it gains traction and people actually start enjoying it, and people start connecting the dots and going, oh my God, like he's so brave to, admit that he's getting high and talking about high and talking about these crazy concepts. It just seems like the ramblings of a madman. But then I start injecting all of these realizations that sounds really truthful, and why not? It's not harming anyone, and the potential is great. The potential is unlimited. And I think the sooner that we stop holding ourselves back, and this is where my personal journey comes in, and it can all just be in the format of a video diary or an audio diary, or through content that's more engaging, whatever you gravitate towards, and that's the algorithm that's catered to your preferences. What keeps your attention, whatever kind of content style, whether it's in the camp of ego and mind or in the camp of grace and attunement and body and all that stuff and self-awareness, whatever works for you, you should be able to have access to that and go to the same place. And I shouldn't have to separate what's more sensitive and going to be judged content next to content about your everyday life. Just a vlog. People tune into vlogs and they're fascinated, and that vlog channel can become very successful. It can be monetized, and that person can literally live off of doing what they just do naturally, or they've told themselves to. They've gotten into it, and it takes a lot of bravery to do that because you have no guarantee. But what if there was a recorded amount of success rate around that? Then it creates a new culture. And once it's more in the bigger zeitgeist, that's a big milestone. That's a big setback that we've always been doing. And that is fear of judgment, because it's all based on ego. And it limits us from doing just the things that we want to do. There's reason why judgment can be very useful. It's because it keeps us from venturing into chaos, or venturing into any kind of extreme side of a spectrum that we deem as unsafe or volatile or cause for concern. And that's great. Like, we should have that. We should have laws that permit us from creating atrocities and really being self-destructive. That's all great. Like, I'm not calling any of that into question. It's more about, well, there are still areas that we hold ourselves back. Why? And then you realize, oh, ego is this concept I've read about. Let's look into that. And you go, oh, okay. Yeah, that seems like it. That seems like that's responsible for holding me back. And it's responsible for the whole community, the whole, society that's come from such a deeply entrenched place of proprietary, especially in the West. Wow, no, heavily in the East too. God damn, like everywhere has just been so heavily entrenched in proprietary and having a sense of self, all ego driven. And in warring times, if you were a warrior, your ego will be sculpted, will be chiseled into the form of discipline and morality. Right? And ethics and a code, like a code that men should follow in order to be the best versions of themselves. That's great. That's a really functional, wholesome way to sculpt that journey that everyone is going through themselves. They want to find out who the hell they are and what do they want and how do they behave, how do they coexist. We want to be our authentic selves, all of us. And I can only talk about my experiences. So I want to have more open conversations about all of this, anything, without all of that judgment. And all that judgment is coming from the ego being activated and the mind stepping in and saying, factually, I can give logical arguments to say that what you're doing is unhealthy and so create a stigma and then create all these labeling systems. And you go, no, I find that I have enough self-control and self-awareness to go through the judgments of using recreational drugs in order to get a slight high, in order for me to then attune and realize all of this stuff. You don't have to go to the extreme and get blasted and then become an addict because your body just can't think of anything else but chasing that high. And then you're an addict, you're addicted. That's a different category. I'm not doing that. So I don't want the stigma and the association of substances to hold back my truth and my ability to seek the truth and my ability to talk about it openly and log it and express it and talk to other people and try to record it so I can pick it apart and analyze it and satisfy that part of my brain, my mind, satisfy that need as well. And for it to actually be manifest into a functional, self-sustaining way of life and improve to ego and say, no, I've just proved it. If people are open to listen to this and find some kind of value and then find the bravery for them to do it themselves and actually just do what they want to do and say what they want to say and communicate with others and try and find deeper truths and develop ourselves out in the open without any judgment. I think we should all embrace the hell out of that. Embrace it with both arms tight. So I advocate this kind of process. And if it sounds all weird and jumbled to you, that's fine. But if you're captivated, it'll be cool if I have an outlet to actually express the story through whatever and get that out there and then get it to a point where it's monetized through YouTube, the brilliance of it. I'm able to create a channel that's self-sustaining and I can actually live off that. You know, imagine that. That's a dream. That's a dream that all yellows, all creatives, like we can't get over it. It's such a bane in my life anyway, that I dream so big and I want to do so many things and I want to have my life as exceptional as I desire it to be. And I find it even difficult to even connect with my own desires, because every day, every second, I'm reminded and I feel guilty that I can't do what I want because society tells me that I need to follow this and I need to get a job and I need to buck up my ideas and I need to grow up and stuff. And I go, who the hell are you? You can't tell me just because you think that you're an authority, you know, whether it's a politician or whether it's a parent or whether it's schooling and work, you know, commercial, professional environment. I'm saying I've explored all of that. I'm way beyond in my storytelling and I've come upon concepts that I'm using that seems to tell the truth. And I'm on this journey of truth and there's a lot going on inside and out. And it all comes from like really just being aware. And you keep leveling up and you keep following the story and it all seems right. Like when you listen to a book or you read a book and it's a fantasy novel, like with the Stormlight Archive, that comes to mind. And I just love a good story. It connects with you because you resonate. Your body physiologically emotionally, physically, mentally, ooh, it resonates with something that's true. Like you latch onto that and you just believe that's true and there's something to it. And that comes from good storytelling, good communication of what's an abstract idea and hasn't been proven yet and maybe ridiculed and stuff. But if it seems so true and you resonate with it and it's in the here and now and all of this stuff, Eckhart Tolle has been doing a fantastic job of awakening people. It's just I want to crack the code that works for me as well. I don't want to be labeled as anything like a spiritual leader or nothing. I don't want to be a celebrity or anything. I just want something that's going to be self-sustaining, and I want to like very quickly just distract away from me and go, everyone can do it themselves. Like everyone can become a celebrity if they wish. Everyone can become successful if they wish. Follow along the story. Tell me what you think. Let's improve it. Is this just crazy ramblings, or is there something really behind the truth of like what we should be doing to try and counteract a lot of the illness and the toxicity that we see in our world, that we see within ourselves, and we're like, oh, what is that? Oh, I reject it, suppress it. No. Let's better understand ourselves. Let's better understand each other. Let's be authentic. And those are not idle words when it comes to my actions. And they shouldn't be idle words when it comes to yours.